everyone, I'm Emma.
And I'm Max.
This is the Inquiry Talks.
And today we are doing a really interesting deep dive into some psychology research. But I know you wanted to start with something that happened to you recently.
Yeah, I did. So last week I had this moment that really, well, it kind of shook me, honestly.
Oh, really? What happened?
So we just finished this massive project at work. It was super stressful, and it basically took over my life for months. But we got it done, and it was this huge success.
Right. I remember you working late a lot for that.
Oh, yeah, constantly. And my boss actually called me into her office and gave me so much praise. She said I did an amazing job leading the team.
That is awesome. You deserve that.
Thank you. And, for the first few days, I felt so proud. I was walking around thinking, I am really good at this. I am the reason everything worked out so well.
I mean, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
You put in the hours, so you naturally feel like you were in the win.
exactly. I did work hard. But then a few days later, I was just sitting at home on my couch, just relaxing. And I started playing the project back in my head.
Okay.
And suddenly, I got this really heavy, kind of uncomfortable feeling in my stomach
Uncomfortable. Why?
because I realized I was completely ignoring all this invisible help I had. Yes, I worked hard, but I also had this amazing coworker who stayed late with me just to fix my mistakes.
Right.
And I have a really good manager who blocked my schedule so I could just focus. Plus, we had incredibly lucky timing. Another team finished their part early, which gave us a huge head start.
So a lot of things lined up perfectly for you.
Yeah. And honestly, the only reason I even got to lead the project is because someone else moved to a different city. I didn't create any of those chances myself.
Wow. That actually takes a lot of honesty to admit.
Mm-hmm.
Because we usually just remember our own sweat and tears, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Our brains just kind of quickly forget the lucky breaks
Mm,
and the help we get from other people.
they really do. And having that realization just made me ask this really big question. And it's the question I want to explore with you and with everyone listening to us today.
I am ready. What is the question?
How much of success is really ours?
Man, that is a powerful question. And I want to reassure you right now, you are definitely not alone in feeling that way.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Taking all the credit for a win is actually this universal human blind spot.
So it's not just me being selfish. Everyone's brain is wired to do this.
Everyone's brain. And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive today. We're going to look at some really fascinating research about human psychology, luck and success.
Okay, I love that. Where do we even start?
Well, we want to understand why our brains hide our advantages from us. And to do that, we need to talk about a famous study involving a game you have probably played 100 times.
Oh, I play a lot of games. Which one?
Monopoly.
Oh, Monopoly, the game that basically ruins family dinners.
Yeah, that is the one. But this was a very specific, kind of crazy game of Monopoly. A psychologist named Paul Piff ran this experiment at the University of California, Berkeley.
Okay.
He brought over 100 pairs of strangers into his lab, and he had them play against each other. But the researchers completely changed the rules. The game was totally rigged.
Wait, rigged? Rigged how?
So before the game even started, the two strangers would sit down at the table, and the researchers would just flip a simple coin.
Just a coin flip.
Just a completely random coin flip in the air. And that single flip decided who would be the rich player and who would be the poor player.
Wow. So it was pure luck. It had absolutely nothing to do with skill.
Pure luck. And the advantages for the rich player were massive.
Yeah.
Right from the start, the rich player got double the starting money.
Oh, that is a huge advantage.
It gets better. Every time they passed the go space on the board, the rich player collected $200. But the poor player only got $100.
Wait, so the poor player is just fighting an impossible battle right from minute one?
Exactly. And it gets even harder. The rich player got to roll 2 dice instead of 1.
So they are moving around the board twice as fast.
Yeah, they are buying up everything. And just to make this power difference super obvious, the rich player got to use the nice luxury car as their game piece.
Oh, no. Let me guess. The poor player got the old shoe.
They got the old shoe.
Okay, wait, hold on. If I am sitting at a table playing a game with a total stranger,
Yeah.
and I know for a fact that I only have all this money because a quarter landed on heads, I would feel terrible.
You think you'd feel guilty?
Yeah, I would feel so guilty. I feel like I would try to play extra nice, maybe offer them a break on rent or something. Didn't the rich players try to be nice?
See, that is what logic tells us we should do.
Yeah.
If the advantage is totally random, we assume the lucky person will feel bad about it.
Right.
But the researchers had hidden cameras in the room. They watched the actual behavior over a 15-minute game. and they saw the exact opposite of guilt.
The opposite. Wait, so they were actually mean about it?
They changed so fast. Like within just a few minutes, the rich players' body language totally shifted.
How so?
They started taking up more physical space at the table, like spreading their arms out. They started speaking louder.
No way.
Oh, and when they moved their luxury car piece, they would literally smack it down on the board like bang, 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 making this loud noise just to show dominance.
That breaks every single social rule. They were aggressively showing off.
They really were. They started boasting about how much money they had. They just became ruder. And there was this one wild detail from the study.
What is it?
They had a shared bowl of pretzels sitting on the table.
Okay, snacks.
The rich players started eating significantly more pretzels than the poor players. And some of them even started chewing with their mouths open.
Chewing with their mouths open. Over a rigged board game.
Yep.
That is just, I mean, that shows a total breakdown of basic manners. It is like they just completely stopped caring what the other person thought of them.
Exactly. And that is a really key point we will come back to. But honestly, the most revealing part happened after the game was over.
What happened after?
The researchers interviewed the players, and they asked the rich players a very simple question. They asked, "Why do you think you won?"
Well, the answer is the coin flip and the double money and rolling 2 dice.
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
But the rich players almost never mentioned the coin flip.
Wait, are you serious? They just forgot about the coin flip completely.
They completely erased it from their story.
Oh my gosh.
Instead, they talked about their great strategy. They explained all the smart choices they made when they were buying properties.
But they could only buy them because they had double the money.
Exactly. But in their minds, their clever decisions led them to victory. They truly believed they earned the win through personal skill.
That is wild. They basically replaced reality with a story where they are the genius hero.
They did.
But why? Like, why does the human brain do this? What is the actual psychology making them forget the luck?
So it comes down to a concept called the self-serving bias, or sometimes it's called the fundamental attribution error. But we don't need to use the big terms. Basically, our brains naturally want to believe the world is fair.
Okay, that makes sense. We want life to make sense.
Right. And believing that you're skilled actually saves your brain energy.
Wait, it saves energy. How?
Think about it. If you win and you just tell yourself, I am smart and capable, your brain feels safe. It is an easy story.
Oh, I see.
But if you have to constantly calculate every tiny piece of luck and timing and all the outside help you got, that takes way too much mental energy.
That sounds exhausting, honestly.
It is. So the brain just simplifies the story to protect your ego. It just edits out the luck.
So the Monopoly players won, and their brains just automatically said, I am a Monopoly genius, because it was the easiest, most comfortable story to tell themselves.
Exactly. But to really understand this, we need to ask if this behavior shows up in the real world. Because Monopoly is just a game.
Right. Does this happen in real life?
It does. The sources show us another study, and this one involves a jar of candy.
Okay, a candy jar. What were the stakes with the candy?
So researchers put a jar of candy in a laboratory waiting room, and they explicitly told the people in the study, this candy is for children in another lab nearby. Please do not take it.
Oh no, please tell me the wealthy people did not steal candy from children.
The data showed that wealthier participants were twice as likely to take candy from that jar compared to people with less money.
Twice as likely. Why, though? Why would having more money make you take candy that you know is for kids? I mean, it can't just be that rich people like sugar more.
No, it is about how wealth changes our social survival needs.
What do you mean by survival needs?
Think about human history. For thousands of years, humans survived by cooperating.
Right, like living in tribes.
Exactly. If you needed food or protection, you needed the group. You had to care about other people's feelings so they would help you out. Your brain kept its empathy sensors turned on high.
Because if the group didn't like you, you literally wouldn't survive.
Precisely. But wealth changes that biological rule. Money buys independence.
Oh, I see where this is going.
When you have a lot of resources, you do not need to depend on the group anymore.
Right.
You can buy your own food, you can buy your own protection.
Right.
And when you do not need people, your brain quietly turns down your empathy sensors. It creates this distance between you and the rest of the world.
So independence, ironically, creates a wall between people.
It does.
But what about high-stakes situations? Does this lack of empathy show up when life and safety are actually on the line, not just candy?
It really does. And that brings us to a Crosswalk study. Researchers watched a busy intersection where pedestrians were trying to cross the street.
Okay.
They found that drivers of expensive luxury cars were 4 times more likely to cut off other drivers.
4 times.
Yeah. And they were also significantly more likely to drive right through the crosswalk, totally ignoring the people trying to walk across. Meanwhile, the drivers of cheaper cars stopped almost every single time.
That is honestly terrifying. Just sitting in an expensive car literally changed how they viewed the humans walking right in front of them.
The car acted as a physical barrier, sure, but also a psychological one. The wealth signaled to their brains that they were independent, so the normal social rules of the road just did not apply to them in the same way.
You know, it is really easy to hear about luxury cars and think, oh, this only applies to billionaires.
Right, it's easy to point fingers.
Yeah, but I want to make sure we connect this to everyday life for you and me, because we all experience this filtering of advantage, don't we?
We do. Give me a real-world example. Where do you see this happening normally?
Well, think about being a student. You might get a really high score on a difficult math exam, and you feel incredibly smart.
Naturally.
But your brain completely edits out the fact that you had a quiet bedroom to study in, and parents who bought you healthy food, and a computer that actually works fast.
That is so true.
And then you start to judge another student who got a lower grade, completely forgetting that they had to share a noisy room with 3 siblings and maybe work a part-time job after school.
That is a fantastic point. Yeah. The student with the quiet room genuinely believes their good grade is 100% their own hard work.
Exactly. Or think about our careers. You get a great job and you think, wow, my interview skills were flawless.
Right.
But you totally tune out the fact that your friend's dad recommended you to the hiring manager. Our brains treat our advantages like the hum of an airplane engine.
The hum of an airplane engine. Wait, explain that.
So when you first sit down on a plane, the engine is so loud, right? You hear it clearly.
Oh, yeah. It's roaring.
But after 5 minutes, your brain actively tunes it out so you can focus on reading a book or watching a movie. It just becomes background noise.
Oh, that is good.
We do the exact same thing with our privilege. We don't realize how loud our advantages were until someone takes the noise-canceling headphones off.
That is a perfect analogy. And there is actually a mathematical reason why those noise-canceling headphones work so well on us.
Mathematical?
Yeah. It is easy to spot small advantages, like a friend's job recommendation. But our brains literally lack the hardware to comprehend massive, giant advantages.
Really? Our brains just can't do the math?
Nope. To prove this, let's look at how bad human beings are at scaling numbers. Consider the difference between 1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000.
1,000,000 and 1,000,000,000. I mean, they sound like very similar concepts, just really big amounts of money.
They sound similar, but let's translate them into time to see the difference.
Okay, time.
1,000,000 seconds is about 11 days.
Okay, 11 days. I can easily visualize a week and a half. That's a normal vacation.
Exactly. Now, what do you think 1,000,000,000 seconds is?
Well, if 1,000,000 is 11 days, maybe a few months, like half a year.
1,000,000,000 seconds is over 31 years.
Wait, what? 31 years.
Yeah.
11 days versus 31 years. That is a staggering difference.
It is huge. But because our brains cannot easily calculate these massive gaps in wealth and advantage, we just assume everyone is playing the exact same game.
Oh, wow. So we assume everyone is rolling the same dice.
Yes. And when we assume everyone has the exact same chances, we start to harshly judge the people who are losing.
We look at people who are struggling and think, well, I won, so you must just be lazy.
Exactly.
Which brings me to a really critical question. Because if we are looking at all these sources, we need to be completely impartial, right?
Always.
Are successful people just naturally mean, like, does having money automatically make you a bad person?
It is crucial that we ask that. Because human behavior is always more complicated than a simple rich equals bad stereotype.
Right.
Good science is about asking questions over and over to see if the answers change in different situations.
So did other scientists try to repeat the Monopoly experiment or the candy studies?
They did, and they found some very different results.
Oh.
Yeah. For example, researchers conducted a massive study in Germany with thousands of participants, and they found absolutely no proof that wealthy people act less ethically than poor people.
Wait, none?
There was zero difference in their behavior.
That is so interesting. So the bad behavior does not happen every single time. Why did the German study look so different from the others?
Another major study provides the missing piece of this puzzle. They found that wealthy people only become less generous when they live in places with extreme economic inequality.
Extreme inequality. So you mean places where the gap between the rich and the poor is just enormous?
Yes. If you live in a city or a country where the rich have everything and the poor have almost nothing,
Mm.
that environment triggers the brain to act selfishly.
Oh, I get it.
The brain starts to see the poor as a completely different group of people, almost like a different species.
Wow.
But if you live in a place where the economic gap is smaller, where people are more equal, generally wealthy people are just as kind, helpful, and generous as anyone else.
Honestly, I am actually so relieved to hear that.
Right. It's a hopeful detail.
It is. It means our environment shapes our empathy. We are not just doomed to be selfish just because we achieve success or make money. It is really all about how wide the gap is between us and our neighbors.
Yes, the gap changes how our brains categorize people. If the gap is small, we see others as peers. We keep the empathy turned on. Privilege really is just a filter over our eyes.
But okay, if it is just a filter, how do we fix it?
What do you mean?
Like, how do we take those noise-canceling headphones off? Because I do not want to walk around taking credit for things I did not entirely earn, like I did with my work project last week.
Well, the research actually gives us a very hopeful answer for that, too. Turns out lifting the headphones is incredibly easy.
Oh, good.
Your brain just needs a gentle reminder to turn the empathy sensors back on.
What kind of reminder? Like, how did they test this?
In one experiment, researchers took wealthy participants who were acting a bit selfishly, and they just showed them a video.
A video of what?
It was a very simple video about childhood poverty, just showing the struggles of kids living without enough resources. And the video was incredibly short. It was only 46 seconds long.
Just 46 seconds. That is less than a minute.
That is all it took. After watching that brief video, those wealthy individuals became just as helpful and generous as anyone else in the study.
Just from a short video.
Yeah, they started offering their time to help strangers. Their empathy returned almost immediately. A tiny push to look outside their own little bubble was enough to completely change their behavior.
That is so powerful. And you know, it really perfectly matches how I felt sitting on my couch last week.
How so?
Well, once I took a minute to stop looking at my own reflection and I started looking at the people who supported me, I could clearly see all the help I got.
Exactly. It is entirely about changing your focus. When we succeed, the natural biological response is to look in a mirror. We have to actively train ourselves to look out the window instead.
Look out the window. I really like that. You know, talking through all of this, it makes me realize that we all have our own coin flips in life.
Our own coin flips. That is a great way to put it.
Yeah. We all have things we did not earn, but that pushed us forward anyway. Like, maybe you had a teacher who really believed in you when you were young.
Right.
Or maybe you were born in a safe neighborhood where you could play outside. Or maybe you just happened to meet the right person at the exact right time who offered you a job.
Those are all random coin flips. They're completely out of our control.
And realizing that does not take away our hard work. Like, I still worked really hard on my work project.
Of course you did.
And the people in the Monopoly experiment still had to roll the dice and move their pieces around the board. Acknowledging our invisible help does not mean we didn't try. It just makes us kinder.
It stops us from smacking our game pieces on the board to show dominance.
Yes, exactly. It keeps us connected to other people. And maybe it helps us look at someone who is struggling right now. And instead of judging them for losing, we realize they might just be playing the game with one die instead of two.
That is a profound way to summarize all this data. The science shows us that our brains desperately want to make us the sole hero of our own story. But when we actively choose to see the luck, the timing, and the advantages we have been given, we just become much better members of society.
This has been such a mind-opening conversation. It really changes how you look at the people around you. And honestly, more importantly, how you look at yourself.
It is a deep topic, but understanding these psychological mechanics is essential for all of us, no matter where we currently are in life.
Definitely. So for everyone listening, I want you to take a moment today to think about your own life. Think about your own wins, your own successes, and your own coin flips. Maybe the most important question is not whether we worked hard. Maybe it's whether we can still see the invisible advantages that helped us.
That is a fantastic thought to end on today.
Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. This is the Inquiry Talks. We dive into fascinating new topics every single week, so be sure to follow and like so you do not miss out on the next one.
It was great exploring this with you. See you next time.
Bye, everyone. Take care.